Hey, everybody, this is Carlos Hughes with the Journey Podcast, and want to remind you to like, subscribe, and comment below. Today, we're going to talk about Scarred in Victory. It is interesting that you find in the story of Jesus after he rose from the dead that he is talking to Thomas, and the proof that he used to show to Thomas that he was alive and it was the same Jesus was that he showed the nails in his hand, nails in his feet, and the scar in the side. And we find that you have to ask the question, well, why would Jesus in a glorified body leave those scars there? What would be the purpose? And I think, if you ask me, that those scars are there to show what he's overcome. That not only was he crucified, and not only to Thomas that it's the same Jesus, but the scars show that the cross did not defeat him. That although he has scars, he has proof that he was crucified, but he overcame that crucifixion and he rose from the dead. And it's similar to us. We have scars in our lives, and not just where we fall and physical scars, but we have things that happen that are traumatic that we say, when we say it scarred our life, that means it stays in our mind. It's hard for us to forget it, or something comes across that reminds us, it automatically pops up in our head. And sometimes we allow these scars to hold us back from progressing and going forward in our lives. We'll say, well, because this happened, or because somebody did this to me, or because I was hurt in this way, that I will never trust again. I will never marry again. I will never, whatever, work in corporate America again. But remind yourself when those thoughts come that you overcame those things by the grace of God, that you're still here, that you were victorious. And although you can remember what happened, and although those scars are still there, that those scars are just a reminder of not your defeat, but it's a reminder of the victory you won through Jesus Christ. And now that you're healing, you're healing and you're going forward, and you need to allow yourself to move forward. All right. So I have a little story. A couple months ago, I was at school. I teach high school, and two young ladies were fighting. And so I went in to break up the fight. They ended up rolling on the ground and, doing what teenagers do when they fight. And so I'm going down there. And as I go down to break them up, one young lady accidentally undercuts me with her leg and undercuts my leg. So I fall, and as I'm falling, I can feel something pop in my right knee. So I'm like, oh Lord, what's this? And so I had to go to the hospital because of that. When I went to the hospital, our doctor said, hey, Mr. Hughes, you tore your quad tendon and you're gonna need surgery. So I was like, oh, okay. So about a week later, I have surgery. And when I look at the where they cut me and where they made the repairs, it looked awful to me. I mean, I was like, this knee just looks like chopped liver or something. It just was awful. But every time a nurse would come in, or somebody from the medical field would come into my room, they would say, oh, it's healing nicely, and oh, that looks really good. And all I'm seeing thread, and I'm seeing stitches, and I'm seeing, a little bit of blood left, and all the remnants of having surgery. And I'm like, how in the world they keep saying this looks good? And somebody made me to realize, my wife in particular said, listen, it could have been otherwise. It could have been where it was infected. It was, it had different signs of infection, and you would have to do this or do that. But your scar is showing that it's healing, and the body's healing smoothly and without any problems. And so, as much as, in my view, it looked horrible, it didn't look good. It looked in my knee. I'm like, my knee is never going to be the same, and I'm going to have this permanent scar. To those that had the professional eyes, it looked perfect. It looked like someone that had to go through something, and they went through it, and it's healing up, and they're going to be able to function in the near future. And that's what your scars look like to God. It is something to say, it is something to reminisce, and something to really shout over and say, hey, I've been through this. I went through it. I went through the divorce. I lost that child. I went through the traumatic. I lost the job. I might have got my house repossessed. Whatever it is, you went through it, and you're still here. You went through it, and you're going forward. You're not stuck. You could have lost your mind. You could have committed suicide. You could have done a whole lot of things. But guess what? By the grace of God, you are still here. And if you're still here, that means you gained victory over the thing that thought it should have defeated you. And even the enemy thought, this thing should have defeated you. But guess what? It didn't. And so you should shout over not the fact that it happened, and yeah, it feels like it tore your life apart, and it might have left something there. But guess what? You're healing nicely. And you may not think you're healing nicely. You may think, oh my God, it's always going to be here. But in the view of God, you're healing nicely. Why? Because that scar is going to remind you of the victory in the past. It's going to remind you that even though you went through something traumatic, that you went through it, and God, through the power of God carried you through, and now you're moving forward. It didn't stop you. It didn't kill you. It didn't bring your demise, but you're moving forward. And so I encourage you today, listen, whatever you're going through, whatever your past looks like, don't bemoan the past, but look towards the future and look at your scar and say, this scar is just a reminder to me that God deserves all the praise through all that He's brought me through. So that's it for today. I pray that you will keep your head up, that you will keep your praise on, and that you'll give God the glory. We'll see you next time on the Journey Podcast. God bless.
See you Sunday.
See you on Sunday.
See you Sunday.
See you Sunday. Te vemos el domingo.
See you on Sunday.
See you Sunday.